like from the teams that I've been at and stuff, I would say this team is probably the most together team I've ever played in. Imagine being released by someone, enjoying what you do, and you're thinking, yeah, I've got a chance now of making it, and then someone takes that away from you. Massive regret. I would say I would have happily missed them 2 games. As much as it was killing me to want to get that golden boot, I felt that was me being selfish in myself. I've done Vogue, that was good. That was one of, like, I still to this day haven't like overcome it.
You alright, mate? How are you today?
I'm very well, thanks. Yourself?
I'm very well. Welcome to my studio and the Chinwag Podcast, and thank you very much for joining me today.
Pleasure, mate.
Just introduce yourself to the viewers. Off you go.
Alright. Courtney Massay, known as Massay when it comes to like sport and stuff. I'm 29, going on 30, but I still feel like I've got a lot in the footballing side to play until I'm like, I'd say like Zlatan.
Love that. Love that. So, obviously, you said you play football.
Yeah.
Who got you into sport at a young age? What sports were you playing growing up?
So when it comes to like the sports side of things, it was more of a case of having like a quite sporty family. So like my dad, he played at quite a high level. His family played quite a decent level of football. So that was always in like the blood sort of thing. It was always in the DNA. But when it come to like PE and stuff in school, I love sports. Like you couldn't get me off. Like that was one day I wouldn't miss school. Like anything else, like if we was doing like science or maths, maybe I would be like, yeah, do you know what? I don't mind the famil, but I would go in ill if we had PE.
What were your favourite sports growing up? Obviously, you play football now. Was it always football, or were there any other sports you really enjoyed playing?
It was more of a case of any. Like I was even doing relay, like running, long distance running, tennis. I liked a bit of tennis, but only in the summer and stuff. Because we had it was like an outdoor court. So the outdoor court was like only used like at some point in the year. Badminton, I liked that as well. That was good. That was quite challenging as well because it always used to come down to like me and this other kid. And we used to always like do doubles against like the teachers.
Oh, nice.
And it was like, if we didn't win, it was like, feel like we let the whole like school sort of thing down.
I feel you. So obviously you play for St Panteleimon, a semi-pro team. Growing up, were you in any academies? Did you start playing? From what age did you start playing seriously at? Just talk me through your first memories of playing football.
So I started playing football, literally, it was when I could start walking really. So I used to go down up the field, local field of where I lived, with my dad. We used to just do like passing, like little drills that you do with a kid, like the basics, dribbling with the ball, running, passing. And then I signed up for a team, I think they were called Crawley Green at the time, based in Bedfordshire, and literally done a season there.
Was that just a Sunday league team?
So it was like a Saturday team.
They
were like they had like a Saturday team, a Sunday team, and then their like first team and like their reserves, they were quite high up.
So how old were you at this point?
At this point I was about, I think I was 8 or 9, and then I played like a full season like in the 7-a-side. But at that time, that Crawley team were like one of the best teams in that league.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like we was beating everyone, and then there was another team that was around like our sort of like level, but the other teams weren't as good because like our team, we just had like loads of giants. Like literally, they were beasts.
So after Crawley Green, where did you move on from there? Did you stay there for long, or what was your process going through your teens?
So I stayed at Crawley Green, carried on playing and stuff. Ended up playing there until I was about 13. And then I got scouted by MK Dons. They came to watch one of my games, but the manager wouldn't tell me on the day.
So what is that like, getting scouted by MK Dons? So after the game, as you said, the manager didn't tell you they were MK Dons scouts. So what was that like after the game? What was the process of MK Dons approaching you after the game?
So the way they approached it, because of the age that I was at, it was more of a case of they'd speak to my parents. So they spoke to my mum and dad. My mum and dad kind of like didn't want to tell me too much because obviously they wanted to keep me focused on like at that age, you're sort of like, you'll get like gassed. You'll be like, oh my god, this team's like interested in me. Oh my god.
You run into all your friends and say, this team wants me so bad. I'm gonna be the next guy.
Literally, you're like, I wonder if I'm gonna be on the next FIFA or like. So I was kind of just like, I was glad at the time that my mum and dad like sort of didn't tell me. And I remember I came home after school one day, and my mum and dad was like, we've got some news for you. And I was kind of, do you know when you sort of know but you don't? I was thinking like, what could it be? Like, have I been bad at school? Like, and then they told me obviously about the football, and I was kind of like that proper like gassed. And then I had like a little talk with my dad, and he was just kind of like, this is now like where
the hard work begins.
Yeah, this is literally, he was like, this is where it starts.
So what was that like? So your first day at MK Dons, what was that like as a 13-year-old? Just tell me what that was like.
It's interesting, to be fair, because I got scouted, and there was another guy from my team that got scouted, so it wasn't too bad. So it was like I wasn't going into a new team not knowing anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So me and him went together. We kind of we was like attached by the hip. Like, do you know when you're just there and you're like, I don't know him.
Yeah.
Literally, it was just like that. So we did the training session, and we sort of like just fitted in straight away. It's kind of one of them things, like, I feel in football, when you've got like a talent or you're good at something, you kind of like get along with people so easy.
Yeah.
It's like you just click.
So what were your best memories of MK Dons? How long did you stay for?
So I was at MK Dons until 16.
So what were your best memories in those 3 years from 13 to 16? Because obviously that's when you develop the most, from 13 to 16.
So my best memories was probably when I scored against Arsenal.
I love that.
of all teams, yeah. But we wasn't on the good end of the result. So imagine we're playing Arsenal now at 13 years of age. They had in their team, who did they have? They had like a couple of older players. Like at the time, they had like Jack Wilshere played in the game.
Nice.
This guy, like, at that time, obviously, I didn't know he was going to go on to be a professional.
Yeah, of course.
He was a joke. But this guy, you couldn't get near him.
Did that make you realise what you wanted to be as a footballer? So
after that game, we realised, we was like, we've got a long, long way to go. For starters, they were just like so well drilled. They were beasts. Like, they were like built like men. Bearing in mind we was like 14, 15. They were built like grown men.
So what was that like, playing against obviously people bigger than you? Was that one of the tougher things when you were at MK Dons as a young teenager? I
would say yeah. I don't feel that like we had the sort of like, because of the level that their first team was at, it was kind of a new club at the time. So when we was there, like first started training and stuff, they were just changing their name from like AFC Wimbledon. Mm-hmm. So they were going over to MK Dons.
Okay.
So once they changed over to the MK Dons, it was kind of just like setting up a new club. New stadium, like new owner, new sponsors, new training ground.
So what other memories do you have? Obviously, it was a long time ago. So what other memories do you cherish from your time at MK Dons? Because that's where you started playing in academies.
Another one was we got to a semi-final of FA Youth Cup.
Nice.
And we played against West Ham. And we thought obviously we would have a good chance. Obviously we was like, we've missed against playing against Arsenal like in the next round, because Arsenal were playing against Chelsea. We was like, yes, we've got a good chance here. We played against West Ham. They bullied us.
So how so?
They played. So we played at the first team's pitch.
Right.
We played on the hockey ground. They ground shared with the hockey.
Okay.
The hockey team was like the hockey stadium at the time, and we played like the game. And I've never, ever, ever been in a game so much where it's like you come off the pitch and you're like, what can we do? What can you say? Like.
So obviously that was tough, and that was one of your hardest moments playing against a West Ham side. So obviously from 13 to 16 you're at MK Dons. Why did you leave MK Dons, and where did you go after that?
So after that, it was kind of more of a case of they were sort of like letting players go at the time. Mm-hmm. So there was me, the guy that I went to the trials with on the first time, who left from that other club with me. Mm-hmm. And then there was a couple of other people that like come from like Arsenal and like other clubs. That they were sort of like like contemplating on whether to give us a deal or a scholar.
So talk me through the process of you have that meeting with, I'm guessing, with someone.
Yeah.
Are your parents there with you? So
Yeah.
what is that like for you? Did you know you were getting released at that point?
I didn't sort of know. It was kind of one of them things where it's like, you know something's going on in the background, but you're not too quite sure what it is. So it's kind of like, I would say it's more of like a waiting game. And like when you're at that sort of age as well, it can kind of like, if you sort of know what's going on in the background, it could be a bit of pressure. Because you're thinking like, if I don't, like, say for instance, because I was playing up top, if I don't score, they might not want to keep me. So at that time, it was kind of like, when we went to the meeting, I was sort of like, I was kind of nervous at the time, but I sort of thought the worst, if it makes sense. So it was like, if they told me, I didn't sort of feel as bad.
How did you deal with that mentally?
I did find it quite hard. I kind of like, I got to a stage, because obviously growing up, football was all I knew. I sort of wanted to like, I came home, I was like quite upset at the time, as you would be. And I was like to my dad, I want to give up. Like, I didn't want to play football again. Like, imagine being released by someone, enjoying what you do, and you're thinking, yeah, I've got a chance now of making it. And then someone takes that away from you, and you're just thinking in your head like, what did I do wrong? What bits did I do right that I could improve on? And then what are the bad things that they didn't like that I could obviously make better for the next person?
So what made you not give up? Was it your dad's influence and your dad's little chat that made you not give up? Because he seems a very big influence on you, so talk me through that.
I would say it would be, obviously having a footballing family and stuff, like supporting a footballing team as well. My dad had a massive influence on that. So he sort of like sat me down. He was like, everyone has ups and downs. And it was like, do you think these, like, I remember watching a match with him on TV, and he was saying to me, do you think these players have like just stayed at this one club? He said it's very rare a player stays at a club for more than like their like whole life. He said it's very rare. And we went out to the field, started playing again. I started to get my confidence back. And I remember I went back to my old club, Crawley, for a little bit. And I got contacted by a guy at Stevenage who seen me from when I was at MK Dons.
Okay.
And they were interested.
That was my next question. You actually took out of my mouth. So you're ahead of the game there, mate. How did you... So obviously the guy calls you. So what was the process of getting picked up by Stevenage after you left MK Dons?
So the process was quite similar to obviously when I went to MK Dons. Had a meeting. They showed me around the ground and stuff. Obviously I was a little bit older now, so it was kind of more of like a my decision. So I made a decision. Obviously I wanted to go for it, bearing in mind I had that down, and I was thinking to myself, I've been given another opportunity here, like I'm going to take it with both hands.
So what were your best memories of Stevenage? Obviously you're saying you want to take the opportunity. How long were you there for? And what were your best memories of being at Stevenage?
So I was at Stevenage from 16 to 19. I have some great memories there, very good memories. I would say I learned all my stuff that I know in football now when I was there. Like with the experienced players that were at that team, and then from this like stage of when I got to 18 and I started training with the first team and reserves, that's when I gained a lot of experience, and like I was picking people's like brains of like, how did you get here? What do I need to do to get here?
What was it like on your very first day training with the first team?
So my very first time training with them, I was gassed. Like, I was like, oh my god! Like, I'm thinking to myself like, yo, where's the photographer? Like, I made sure I got fresh trim.
Nice.
I was ready.
You got to do what you got to do.
Boots, new boots, a lot. I went all out, and I remember I turned up. I made sure I was the first one there, by the way.
Quality, love that.
Timekeeping was one of the main things.
To be fair, he was on time today. 6:30 and he was on time. I love that.
That was the one thing that I learned when I was at Stevenage. Timekeeping was key. I was like, if you start right, you'll finish right. So I've gone to training now. The training drills that they did there were different. Like, for the build that I was at the time, because obviously I was still having like a growth spurt. So I wasn't the tallest. I'm looking like, obviously, to see the other strikers and stuff, to see what I can learn. The other strikers, a beast. Like, he's looking over me like, you right, mate? And I'm sort of just like, hi. I didn't want to ask him any questions.
Yeah.
Like, at the time, it was Steve Morrison.
Okay.
So he went on to like play for like Millwall and stuff.
Yeah.
And this geezer was like a target man. Like, do you know one of them like League One?
Roughhousing one.
He's like Weghurst, basically. He was built like him, but he actually wins headers.
Wow, we're drawing out Premier League players in this podcast. Not for me.
So obviously I've trained with them, and then I've gone off to do they like split off. So the defenders will go and do like training with the defenders. Midfielders will do some like passing rondos and stuff with the like coaches, and then we went off and done finishing with the keepers. And I remember I had my first strike, put it bottom bins.
Oh, I love that.
I'm thinking, yeah, these boys are rating me. Next one's come to me. I've shanked it. I'm thinking, I hope the gaffer's not seen that one. And then the next couple I've tucked away. I've put the safety catch on. I've gone, I'm not putting my foot through this one. Just kept playing safe. But then after that, I grew into it more. At the beginning, I was sort of like, obviously a bit nervous. Bit like I didn't want to express myself, so everything was just like one touch, pass, move,
get rid of the ball as quickly as you can.
It was like I didn't want to take too many touches, didn't want to take people on like I was doing at my like actual age group. But apart from that, like I really enjoyed it, and I learned a lot.
What were your toughest moments at Stevenage? Because obviously you're saying you're learning a lot, but it comes rough with the smooth. It has to be some downs for you to be ups. In football, it's never as good as you think it is and never as bad as you think it is. So what were your toughest moments?
My toughest moment was I was having the best season I've had at Stevenage. So this was when I was under 19s. Scored 30 goals in the season. We was on to winning the league that year as well. And I think we had, 10 games left. And the reserve manager was like in talks with me at the time, saying the first team manager's like obviously looking to bring some young players up, and he said your name a few times. I'm thinking to myself, if I just keep my head down, keep doing what I'm doing, obviously my chance may come. And we've played against Oldham away from home. I've scored, and then there was another chance I got, and I've gone to shoot, and the defenders tackled me at the same time. It was a fair play to him. He got the ball, but he's got the man as well. Like one of them proper non-league tackles. Like he's got me and the ball, and he's done my ligaments in my ankle.
Okay.
And I'm thinking the timing of this
couldn't be any worse.
It couldn't have come at a worse time.
So obviously, that must have been obviously, as you said, a very difficult moment for you in that situation, especially at under 19 level where you could break into the first team. How long were you out for, and like how did you overcome that, and what happened after that?
So I was out for 6 weeks, but then obviously when you're off the field for 6 weeks, in football it's a long time, because obviously you've got to get match fit, and training, like you can train, but it's not the same as a match.
Yeah.
Like people can train as long as they want, but you ain't gonna get match tempo. Match tempo is different. So it took me, I would say, in total 8 weeks. So come back 8 weeks. I felt strong physically. Was in the gym. Did everything they told me to do. Got myself mentally ready. I felt I'm good, strong, ready to go again. Come back. There was 2 games left in the season. So I'm thinking, let me finish these games on the season on a high. I was still top goal scorer at the time.
Love that.
So I wanted to get the golden boot as well. I was like, the other striker got, I think it was 2 goals behind me. So he capitalised when I was injured, and I'm thinking to myself like, nah, this is my golden boot this year. So I'll come back. Obviously started on the bench. I would say for the last 2 games, they didn't want to risk me because obviously we had like pre-season coming up. Obviously after the season finishes. So I eventually come back. The game I actually come on, I scored. So I thought, I'm thinking to myself like, yeah, I'm back. Like, but I felt like a little twinge.
Right.
So I didn't want to say anything to the coaches and managers. So I carried on playing. finished the game. But obviously, in my head, I know like something's
Something's a bit wrong, yeah.
It's not feeling right in there. So I've gone to the physio on the sly, thinking obviously the physio's not going to go to the gaffer. And I said to him, I felt like a little twinge inside of the same spot where I'd done my ligaments. And then he's gone, come early tomorrow before training and we'll do like, I think it was like a little scan. They had like this little, I don't know what it was at the time, it was like a little silver thing that like a little mini MRI scan.
Right, okay.
So they can see what's in there and feel about. And he's gone, it looks like you've done it again.
Oh no. So what were you feeling at that point? Obviously, it must have been very disappointing.
Yeah.
After you just come back from injury.
Because I'd just come back from injury. I felt good in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I felt good physically. I was like, obviously 8 weeks I'm thinking to myself, I've been out for a long time now, like, surely. But obviously it just goes to show like, if you rush yourself just to come back, realistically I should have missed them last 2 games. And it's just sort of like, I think if I could take it back.
So is that a regret that you have?
Yeah, massive regret. I would say I would have happily missed them 2 games. As much as it was killing me to want to get that golden boot, I felt that was me being selfish in myself. And like, my body was just telling me, nah, you need a rest.
How long did you stay at Stevenage for after that injury, or did you leave after that?
So after that injury, it happened to be, obviously, that was the season they were looking, obviously, to see if they wanted to keep me or not. And it happened to be that after that scholar, you go on to then get a pro.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a big step up. And obviously I didn't get the pro. I would say I was a lot hurt, more than anything. Because at the time I was still recovering from my ankle, had the little boot that you have on. And I'm thinking to myself, I've got top goal scorer. I felt in myself I'd done enough.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously at that time, and I would say in that era of football, it was kind of more of a physical side of game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was more of like a in-behind striker, round the corner, pace. So I thought if I was to step up from the under-19s, because at that time, do you know, like now you have under-23s, under-21s. They didn't have that then. It was straight from under-19s to basically men, first team.
Yeah, so how did you deal with that? Obviously, again, you got but you left MK Dons, then you go to Stevenage, and then you don't get that pro contract. So what is going through your mind at this point again?
At this moment in time, I'm kind of thinking to myself, do you know what? I'm packing it in, like, I can't be bothered to play football anymore. Because I felt inside myself that I did everything and all I could to get myself to that next stage. And when you get told that, I just still felt like how is it not enough? Like, what have I got to do for it to be enough?
So what did you do with your time in the months you weren't at a team? So what was your career path then?
So at that time, I was kind of taking a downtime. So I was kind of chilling, went on a few lads' holidays, as you do, and just chilled just to get my mind back. Because obviously, when you've been released, it's kind of more of like I would say I didn't get depressed, but I would say I was more than, like, I wasn't myself.
Disappointed and frustrated, maybe those are the words?
Yeah. So then I went into another venture, and I met up with a mate of mine that I knew for quite a few years, and he was bringing out a clothing brand at the time. And he said to me, would you fancy getting a few pictures in, like, obviously my clothing?
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a few pictures in his clothing and stuff. Next minute, the pictures come back, they're quite good. I start posting them up on my social media. Next minute, I start getting brands like contacting me, would you model our brand?
Mm-hmm.
Like, would you model my brand? Next minute, an agency contact me. Do you want to join our agency? Can we bring you in for a meeting to like sign up? In the end, I go ahead with it. At this time, I'm thinking this is like a good way of me getting away from that football inside, just to take my mind off it. So I'm doing that. Next minute, I've done it for a year, and I ended up getting signed by an agency. Ended up shooting for brands like JD Sports.
So what's your best moments of being a model? What kind of brands have you shot for, and like what are your biggest shoots to date?
So brand wise, I pretty much shot for most brands inside JD Sports, because when we shoot for JD, we have to shoot all their brands. I've done Puma, Nike, done Adidas. Believe it or not, all three of them rivals as well. I think if they would have known about it, it would have been a bit of a long one. Shh. We'll keep that one on the low. I've done Vogue. That was one of, like, I still to this day haven't like overcome it
and processed it in your mind, like, yeah.
Because obviously I didn't grow up like thinking to myself, oh yeah, I want to do modelling. But when you're learning, like now I've been in modelling for quite long, I sort of know that that's the aim.
Yeah.
That Vogue.
So obviously now we're going to talk about the current team you play for. So that's St Panteleimon. You play non-league. So talk to me about how you got to St Panteleimon as a player, and your best memories of playing for them.
So imagine this. It's a funny one. This. So I was out for dinner, having a little shisha, just chilling, enjoying my night, and the manager of our football team's like in there, and obviously got chatting. He's seen me there a couple of times, just general chit chat, watching the football, and he's gone to me, "Do you play football?" And I've said, "Well, I used to, but like I don't really like take it serious anymore." He was like, "Here's my number. We've got a team. Come down training, and we'll see what you're about. If you're good enough, sign. If it's not for you, then there you go." So I've gone to training now. I'm thinking to myself, like, from the levels that I've played, I'm thinking,
this should be a doddle.
This is gonna be a walk in the park. Like, this is gonna be But I didn't realise when you've been out for so long, like not playing, like stamina wise, it's long.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you right now. I feel you.
It's long. But after a matter of time, I picked it up, trained with them for a bit, and I was like, this team's right now. Like, they can play. They can do bits.
So, go through from the moment you joined St Panteleimon to now. Obviously, just tell me what you've experienced as a team and individually so far.
Like, from the teams that I've been at and stuff, I would say this team is probably the most together team I've ever played in.
What do you put that down to? Just,
I would say that's mainly down to the manager.
okay.
He's a very passionate person. Like, he wears his heart on his sleeve, like, because obviously this club is his.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he started this club up.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that goes through this club's through him. Everything that he's built so far has been through him. So it's like we sort of owe it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've been there for I think this will be my 5th season now. So it's sort of like everyone there is sort of like tight knit. It's like a family. So
how has the season been so far for you this season compared to previous seasons?
So previous seasons, my first season there, we won the league. My second season, we won the league and 2 cups.
So what league is this at this point?
So at this point, this was it would have been tier what, 5 at the time? Yeah, so it was tier 5 at the time. So obviously, because they're a new team, you can't just throw them straight up and say, okay, your manager's got loads of money.
Yeah.
You're talking the talk. Let's throw them into the non-league. It doesn't work like that. So we've had to start from a certain standard, which obviously was I think they started off at tier 6. I started off at tier 5 with them, won the league. Then we won the league and the cup the year after. So that was tier 4. Yeah, so tier 4. And then now we're in tier 3.
Okay.
So last year, so the year before, we was having, do you know when we was having COVID?
Yeah.
So we was having a double lockdown. Imagine we're top of the league now. Our first season in that league. 10 points clear. Walk in the league. I think there was, 12 games left. The league decided
To cut
the league.
So how, as a team and an individual, how must that have felt? Because obviously you're 10 points clear at the top of the table. That must be very frustrating.
It was very, very frustrating. Trust me, very frustrating. So imagine now that you're battering everyone, and we're thinking this is our first year in this league. Like, no one really knew about us. There was like underestimating us, thinking, oh, look at these boys, just got promoted. There'll be a piece of nah. We was bopping everyone. 5, 6. I think the most game that we won was we won one game 10-0.
Love that.
Squad 6.
Oh, is that you? Is that Haaland, yeah? Oh, okay. We'll call you Little Haaland still.
I do.
But, so how has it gone for you this season? Personally, and again, as a team, because obviously football's a team sport.
So, as a team, we're doing really well this year. We're third at the moment. We can't go up. Obviously, that's a bit of a downer because our manager expected us to go up. That he sets them levels. So his levels are quite high, which obviously I don't blame him. Like, we've proved, like, from when we was in the lower leagues, when we was playing teams 2 leagues above us, we was beating them. So it's not like he's just him being passionate and believing in us. We've proved it to him. So this year, we've had ups and downs, as most teams do. We've had a lot of injuries, which hasn't helped towards the end of the season. But the main thing is now we just finish the season off for the last 4 or 5 games and just hopefully finish in the highest spot we can finish now.
From a personal point of view, how has this season gone for you personally with your goals and assists? Because obviously you're a winger / striker. So how has that gone for you?
So this season so far, I'm on 11 goals, 15 assists.
Wow, okay.
So I can't complain with that. But I set myself with high standards. So obviously the year before that, 30 goals. The year before that, I was on, I think, 25. And then the year before that, I was on... So the COVID year, that was going to be the year that I think I was going to score my highest amount of goals. So imagine we've got 10 to 12 games left and I've scored 35 goals already in the league. So I'm thinking to myself, there's plenty of games for me to play here. Like, I could have got a lot more goals.
So I think we've covered quite a lot today in quite a quick amount of time. So what are your ambitions and your plans for the next 5 years as one, as semi-pro footballer, and 2, as a model?
So in the football aspect, the next 5 years, it's just, I'm probably going to stay at the club that I'm at the moment. A few clubs have come in, been interested, but I'm kind of settled, happy. I've noticed that, like, when you're settled and happy and enjoying your football, you're at your best. So I'm that at the moment at the club that I'm at, so I'm not going to be moving from there. The next 5 years, I'll be hoping to try and get them as high as possible and score as many goals and get as many assists as possible.
Nice. And the modelling?
Within the modelling, see what it brings. Hopefully take it to the next level, brand wise. Hopefully one day we're shooting for Gucci, Balenciaga.
I hope that for you as well, bro.
Who knows? But yeah, hopefully travel the world as well.
I love that.
Brands and stuff. But yeah, see where it's in the modelling industry. You never know. Like, I always treat every shoot like it's my last shoot.
Okay, fair enough. So we're coming to very close to the end of the podcast. Before we finish, look into your camera over there, that one, and tell them to follow your socials. What are your socials? Just tell them to follow it up.
My Instagram, @official Massay, and it's not the 0, it's the number 0. For anything else, like TikTok, it's Massay9, and for Facebook, it's Courtney Smasher Massay.
Love that. Also, he's got a new podcast coming out soon called the Starboy Podcast. So I'll link every single social down below in the description. So as I said, thank you very much for joining me on the Chinwag Podcast this evening. If you did enjoy that video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my channel. Follow up Massay Social in the description down below. And don't forget, I'll see you later for more. Love, bro.
Love, bro.
Thank you.
We did it! Bro, we finally did it! Oh my god.